What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're back working on Panzer for day 3. Well, I should say episode 3. This is more like day 8, 9, something like that. But Silas just went ahead, got the intercooler all tacked up. Now, we've just had the ETS one chilling on here for now, but because that is a horizontal flow, it's only got one in and one out. Wasn't really optimal for what we needed. So we ordered, it's a shorter intercooler, but it's vertical flow. That way we could get a dual in out. So it's gonna feed in through the top and then exit through the bottom on both sides of the car, because when you have the twins, obviously you need 2 feeds. Unless you had like a forward facing manifold, you could have a feed on both sides and then come up through the middle as a single exit. But because I want to retain AC, we're just gonna do dual in out and then feed them both into the back of the manifold. So let me show you guys the intercooler, and I'll have Silas explain kind of what's going on. So show them what we got here.
All right, so what we got here is a vertical flow intercooler here. I think this is a 7-inch, and to make fit what we have room on the car, we have 3-inch high end caps, both sides, dual in, dual out. So one turbo feeds in through here, comes up and goes out. What I'm doing here is I'm building up with weld here. I'm not sure if he can get in there with the shot. You can kind of see the weld inside there. That will allow me to tie these end caps in to make sure there's no leaks. I need to pull everything off of here, weld the insides of all the caps here, and get everything perfectly sealed. That way we can hold some good amount of boost for this thing.
So this is the front side of the intercooler, and as you probably saw, the back is more that X design. The front, to keep it pretty on the front of the car, because you're probably gonna see, well, I know you're definitely gonna see probably the bottom. We kept that just a straight panel. That way it looks clean in the cutout on the bumper. And then we'll probably just get a stencil here and put a design in the intercooler as well. But that's the reasoning for the front panel looking like that. But in reality, the air is going in. It has really nice airflow coming down this angle, and then it'll go through, come back out, and go to the manifold. So trying to make this, you know, as efficient as possible. It is a really small core compared to the 4-inch ETS that we have on the car, but they say it's rated for like 1,300 horsepower, which I don't really believe, and I also don't know how the ratings work for intercoolers. It flows air, it cools it down, keeps your intake temps low. We might have higher intake temps, but to be quite honest, if we were going for low intake temps, I probably wouldn't have 4 exhausts coming through the hood right next to the intake manifold. So yeah, not the main concern there. Now what we're gonna do is pull the ETS one off, and then we just have to build a couple brackets to hold this intercooler on the car. And then tomorrow I can go ahead and start mocking up all the intercooler piping and essentially figuring out how we're gonna run all that. It shouldn't be too hard, but we do have to go under the frame rail and then up through the back for the longer feeds. So it might be a little tricky. We gotta, you know, play through the suspension and try not to interfere with anything, but we'll figure it out. Oh dang, she's almost the same size. It's like we planned it out that way. So tomorrow we'll make the mounts and, you know, finish off the intercooler, but we just slapped the bumper on to kind of mock the intercooler up behind it, see how it looks, see how it fit. And to our surprise, it actually fit really, really good. And the grill of the intercooler is almost perfectly in the cutout for the bumper. It does have to sit a little high so that when I roll the car on the trailer, it's not just bottoming out all over the intercooler, because the ETS one would rub just a tad bit. So we're trying to avoid that with this, but we just got the bumper on for the first time with the twin setup in there, and have a look at this. Gosh dang. Now granted, we did just pull the intercooler out. It would probably look better with a core in there, but that looks rowdy, dude. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. It really ties it in, because now you can actually see how symmetric the turbos are from being front on. That looks so sick. It just looks like it's meant to be. I love it. I freaking love that. Oh my gosh. And then just imagine with the hood closed and the 4 pipes coming out the hood. That's so sick. Dang. Oh my. Well, we couldn't help ourselves. We did go ahead and slap the core back in there, kind of put it on jack stands to mock it up so we could see what it's gonna look like. And there you go. So we'll probably add some beauty panels on either side just so kind of completes that whole cutout. But I dig it. I think we'll get like a custom Panzer-built stencil and stencil it in there and then have the dog complete the image. But yeah, that looks killer. Okay, it's the next day. This morning I ran to the hardware store, filled up another tank of argon, and started with intercooler piping. I've also spent a good amount of time trying to relocate the AOS, but when I was pulling one of the coolant lines out of the bottom of the AOS, it pulled all the threads with it with the banjo bolt. So not ideal. Those things are not cheap anymore either. So I did reach out to IAG to see if we can get something figured out. And yeah, because I think even if I tap it, there's just all the threads are gone. Like I can tap it the same size, it's not going to do anything. So yeah, not too ideal there, but it's not a huge issue. We can still continue making progress with the fab work. Now the intercooler piping is aluminum as of right now. The upper intercooler piping, anything visible, is going to be made in titanium, but for now we're just going to do it out of aluminum, get it done, get it created, and make sure that the design works before we actually spend the money to make it out of titanium. Now stainless pipes I can tack and get them good to go. Aluminum I can tack, but they don't seem very strong, and if I try to add couplers and attach them to pipes, it's just gonna break off. So I gotta wait for Silas to get home to actually like weld a few beads on it, and then we should be able to get it on. I did try welding beads on a few pie cuts earlier, and I'll show you guys what we got. So this one kind of came out okay, but as you can see, the tacks on aluminum are not very strong. And then this one I tried to lay beads on, and yeah, we were cooking right through it, so not too ideal. I got a long way to go before I can start welding, but yeah, we'll wait for Silas and we'll get these things figured out. This is my practice piece, and you can see it's kind of getting the hang of it, but when I try working on this really thin wall aluminum, it's just, I burn right through immediately. So probably just gotta adjust some knobs and I'll figure it out. As far as the straight pipes though, you can see I can go ahead and get those cut. I have this one already ran to the front, and then same thing on this side. We're gonna need a couple pie cuts on this one, but I have the coupler right here, and then we're just gonna run it out to the front. So those ones are gonna be nice and short and easy, and then the other ones are gonna have to go under the frame rail, and then they'll come up through these big gaping holes on either side. This might be my frustration talking, and you guys know I don't really ever call out or badmouth people or companies and try to start drama. I don't normally do that, but I'm pretty irritated right now. That AOS that I run in this car is one of 2 IAG products that I have on this entire build. So when I was pulling the lower coolant line off to relocate it, I put about a 1/4 turn on that banjo bolt, and it just pulled every single thread out of the bottom of the AOS. Well, not every single one, but every one that mattered. Pulled them all out, and I don't think it's tappable. AOSs aren't cheap anymore. They are actually quite expensive. So I didn't want to just go and buy a brand new one because of pulling some threads out. Now granted, this could be no one's fault. It could be just oxidized from being in the car for so long. But anytime I've ever had an issue with any sort of product failing and I reach out to that company, they'll, you know, at least offer a discount to keep it even on both of us. Obviously it sucks, it's unfortunate, but when I reach out to IAG, they sent me just a link to a new coolant line with that banjo fitting, which I do need because that bolt itself has all the threads on it. But I also said if I'm not able to tap the AOS, would I just have to buy a brand new one? And they literally replied with, that would be correct. So yeah, kinda irritated, you know, no support whatsoever there. Just doesn't sound like they really stand behind their products. Not really good on the customer support side of things, which kind of blows my mind. It's a pretty big company, so If it wasn't for a gracious follower reaching out and having one sitting on the shelf that they're willing to send me, I'd 100% buy a Cobb one and slap it in this car right now. But, you know, if someone wants to send one over, I'll take it. I mean, I'm not going to say no to that. So, it really does suck. Like I said, I don't like to start drama or anything like that. I just wanted it to go out there. This isn't the first time I've had to deal with IAG. I've had to do it with quite a few customer cars with different products, from engines to AOSs to random necessities on the car. So, yeah, just thought I'd put it out there. It's kind of a bummer, but it is what it is, I guess. Rant over. Over the course of the next hour or so, I spent my time grinding and sanding down all of the aluminum pie cuts for the intercooler piping, but little did I know, all of this piping that was previously ordered was complete garbage, and we had to scramble to find some vibrant piping in the last couple days we had to do this build. Alright, Silas got home, kind of calmed me down a little bit. What we're doing now is making the little flanges for the up pipes so our wastegates can sit on there. So we just went ahead and cut out 1.5 inch hole in the side of that up pipe there. And yeah, so essentially this is gonna go ahead and get welded on to the side of that pipe. Flange will sit on this piece, and then the wastegate will sit on the flange. So right here I have 2 precision, these are 40 mils, right? Yeah. It's a little bit smaller, but we have 2 of them. So 2 40 mil precision wastegates, and then 2, I think these are 50s. Yeah, 2 50 mil blow-off valves. Now these already come with the little flange piece as well, so we don't have to make those. But yeah, 2 blow-off valves and 2 wastegates. So we're just going to get the up pipes good to go, and then we can get them permanently mounted in the car and get rid of the engine hoist. And then tomorrow I can go ahead and build the dump tubes for the gates. Silas has the wastegate flanges all welded up on the up pipes. I went ahead, got their mounts drilled out and essentially created. So now we have the up pipes actually bolted to the chassis. That way, you know, it kind of adds some added stability to the turbos if for whatever reason, you know, I'm sure the up pipes alone could probably handle it, but now we take that stress away and they are bolted directly to the frame. So not much stronger on the car than that. But with that said, we can now pull our engine hoist off the turbos and we can see what this car is actually going to look like and be able to close the hood, kind of, until we cut holes for the exhaust. We can't really close it all the way, but we'll get the idea. So we just got to pull our little arms off the top of the turbos and then this guy can come free. They're in there. Don't mind my string line, but wow, it looks really good in the camera. There's the look. Now it'll look a lot better with a front end on it, but for engine bay, that's pretty freaking perfect, if I don't say so myself. So I think what we got to do now, let's pull the exhaust off and then they have to get welded anyway, so they got to come off, and then we can close the hood down, make sure it closes and the turbos actually fit under the hood. I don't think we'll have an issue, but wow, that's a sick angle. That's a sick angle. That's a sick angle. That's a pretty sick angle too. Yeah, so let's do that. Easiest exhaust removal ever. All right, this is the moment of truth. All I can really do is pray that this hood closes, because there was some measurements to maybe hope that it closes, but we don't know for sure, so we're about to find out. Let's close this thing down. Hopefully we got like about an inch, inch and a half, and if all works out, we got 2 inches on top of the turbos. Oh brother, we're good. Yeah, 2 inches here. All right, so the way I measured that was pretty janky. Like, I measured from the floor to the hood and then subtracted 2 inches, and that's where we put the top of the compressor housing. And it worked. So looking at the car right now, you'd never know there's twin turbos under there at all. That's pretty sick. Obviously, when we have the 2 big, or the 4 hood cutouts for the exhaust, you'll know something's there, but clean. Clean. Let's get a little hood pop. Damn. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right. So we'll get the exhaust welded up. I think tomorrow my idea is to get some of the intercooler piping in place and the wastegate tubes. We're gonna get the wastegate dumps in because now we have the flanges on there on either side. So we're just gonna run the tube straight up. It's gonna kind of come over the compressor housing and then wrap around the exhaust and come up behind it. So that's the idea. If I can get both of them done and symmetric tomorrow, I think we'll be in good shape. It's now the next morning and I've just been running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to find some 2.5 inch intercooler piping. Everything we've had for this car has been like super high quality. We pretty much got the best stainless we could get for all of the up pipes, the headers, and the exhaust. But something was up with the aluminum. It was supposed to be 6061, states that in the listing where we bought the pipe from, but it is like the crappiest aluminum ever. You try to weld it, you burn right through. Like you saw, I did show a clip of it earlier, but Silas came home and he was having the same issue. Like, it's just the crappiest aluminum piping ever. We tried every different setting with the welder trying to get it to work, and then we've taken other aluminum piping and it welds just fine. So kind of a bummer because I only have 2 days left here and we have no intercooler piping. So I ran around, couldn't find any local, but I found a guy that's able to drop ship some here by tomorrow morning, hopefully. And then we should be able to, you know, spend all night tomorrow making this intercooler piping kit. We'll see what we can make happen. If it gets done, it gets done. If it doesn't, it doesn't. There's not much we can do. The car might just have to sit here a little bit longer and I'll have to come back up and pick it up. But what I can do right now is go ahead and get our wastegate dump tubes made. So we're gonna get them placed on the flanges down there on the up pipe, and then it'll be essentially just a straight pipe up, and then we're just gonna run around the housing here. We got to be really careful because we are going to be running a turbo blanket, so I might just have to come up pretty high here to get around it, and then we'll just trace the exhaust up around the back, and then we can tuck up the wastegate dump in the back. So that should work just fine. Let's go ahead and get those made, and hopefully we don't run into any issues there. Wastegates are now on, and I just went ahead and created the base of the dump tube. So because these up pipes are a little different based on how we had to get through the side of the chassis here, this pipe actually is pretty much straight off the wastegate, and then this one has one little pie cut down there. Now, I don't really care under the car. Obviously, the headers aren't symmetric or anything like that, being that it's equal length, but everything up in the bay is going to be symmetric. So what I did, I ran this pipe first, got the measurements as to where it is on the side of the exhaust housing. Then when I was doing this one, I tried my best to kind of mirror where it is on the side of the exhaust housing. So the back of the wastegate dump is pretty much in line with the center point on this housing. And then to give the illusion once it's up top that it's 100% mirrored, so as you can see, if I'm standing dead center on the car, you can kind of see just the corner of the wastegate there, and then if I go this way, you got just the corner right there. So it did run up and it was on way more of an angle than I liked, so I cut kind of a weird angle off the top of this pipe, and that gave it that illusion, and also the workability to start building pie cuts off of it in the same general direction. Okay, I've been working on this pipe for probably the last 4 hours, from here to here, literally 4 hours. And the reason is because I am trying to directly mirror it on this side. And with the two up pipes coming up from different angles, to make this work and still be symmetric with the same amount of pie cuts and appear to have the same distance between the two, took a very, very long time. But coming to the front, they're pretty much mirrored. Now I will say, I spent a lot of time and it's still off by about 0.5 millimeter, which is probably gonna bug me, but to the naked eye, without those string lines there especially, you'd never be able to tell the difference. And I'm not even gonna show you where it's off because I'll let you guys figure that out. But for now, I think this is good. I left enough room between the housing and the wastegate for the turbo blanket. Hopefully we can still get it to fit. But what I'm gonna do now is just pull the tape off. I'll just pull the whole dump tube off, and we'll just peel back tape and start tacking it. That way it is, fixed in place. And then we can start building all the way to the back. Now it's gonna be a lot easier now that we have pretty much the same angle coming up to the exhaust on each dump tube, so we can essentially just use the same pie cuts and stack them symmetrically, kind of like we did with the exhaust, where these are the same amount of pie cuts on each, because these are easy. We knew that the turbos were symmetric to begin with, so it was pretty easy just to line pieces up and measure angles. But these, with the two up pipes not being symmetric from the bottom, definitely took a lot of time to get the tops to that point. But I think we're good to go now, and we can continue building. Well, a day later, and the dump tubes are finally in, and I'm happy with them. They look pretty dang perfect. And we just gotta essentially get the actual teardrops on here, but we're not gonna do that until we kind of figure out where we gotta cut holes in the hood, because once we start stacking this, it is gonna be up here just because of how long those things are. So we'll run a 90 off the back of the dump tubes, and then this will stick up. So we don't know how much we're gonna have to cut off this yet, if any, but once we get all these welded up, then I guess we can officially start planning out where we're gonna cut holes and get to this real sketchy part. So, but yeah, those are in. They are 100% symmetric from the naked eye anyways. I think they still might be within 0.5 of a millimeter, but I think we're pretty dialed. So what are you working on?
So last night I got these end tanks pretty much welded up, welded the insides of them, and you can see here I made a center line here that I built up pretty good. That way when I put this end tank on, you can see, if you look down in there, I have a surface to tie these two end tanks into. That way we get a perfect seal, and all of that is perfect. So now I just got to weld the surface here all around, get it on there, and then we have to put our pipes in the end here for where the intercooler piping comes out of. And then I got the other side to do yet, and then where you should be good to go on the intercooler.
Sick. So yeah, he's been knocking that out while I've been spending all my time on these wastegate dumps. But now we're almost at the point where the intercooler is just about done, and you can start welding up our exhaust and our wastegates, and then it's just intercooler piping from there. So let's just keep making progress on this. We are working all day today and all day tomorrow, and might be pulling the all-nighter tonight just to make sure we get it done. But I think one way or another, we'll get it knocked out. Alright, so I just made this heat shield out of cardboard. I think this would work fine for what we need it for. I can also build a roof on it over the ABS if need be, but I also want to make sure that any heat in there can escape. So I did cut out the little power steering hose underneath. This will have its own kind of heat blanket on it. And if I run the heat shield in front of that, our turbo and wastegate piping and all that stuff is going to have issues clearing it, and there's just going to be a bunch of rubbing going on. So I think this is clean. We'll be able to cut that out of aluminum. I can actually do that right now real quick, and then we just got to figure out how to actually hard mount it to the car, but that should do the trick on that side. So let's get that cut out, and then we can move on to the fuse box side. I'm pretty confident something like this will work. Obviously this will get pulled in a little bit, and if we have to, we can put a little cut kind of on this corner and bend this down. That way our wastegate piping can flow. But I think we'll be able to kind of snug it in enough without cutting it. And we just need to find a way to fasten this thing to the car and we'll be good. But for now, I'm gonna take the turbo off this side, start working on the fuse box side, and that way we can get them both cut, and then we can figure out how to fasten them later. And just like that, our heat shield on the driver's side is complete. Well, for now, until we get the turbo and the exhaust and the dumps back in here. I can't really bolt it in or size it up because just in case we gotta cut any off or make any modifications, I don't want to permanently fix it to the car until we have everything in place. So with that said, Silas is over here fabbing up the exhausts. So he's almost done with the first one here, and then we're just gonna move on to one of the dump tubes. That way I can get at least one side in the car and start buttoning up the heat shield and that side completely, and then we can actually work on cutting the holes in the hood. Now, I do want to mention, while we have this open, if you look down in the up pipe, you can see there's a lot of metal shavings down in there, and I can probably focus it in on there a little bit better. So when we get home, the entire turbo kit is going to come out of the car, and I'm going to go through and clean every single pipe, because that's the last thing we want, is to start this thing up and a bunch of metal shavings just gets injected straight to the turbo and then to the engine. So that wouldn't be too ideal. We're going to make sure these are 100% spotless before we get a first start. So up pipes, headers, exhaust, dump tubes, all that, everything we touched while we were here is going to get cleaned out, just to be safe. I am very impatiently waiting on UPS to show up. Of course, the one day we need him is the day he shows up way late. He's normally here around lunchtime. It is now just about 4 o'clock, and we still have no intercooler piping. So we need him to get here so I can actually get to work on this, because yeah, we haven't even started any of that piping. But then again, we don't even have the turbos in here to start mocking piping up. So yeah, it's a process. But at least when I have that, I can work from the back of the manifold and work down and around. But yeah, just waiting on him to get here. Well, we finally got our pipes. Goodies are here. Now I can go ahead and finally get to work. I'm not recording much because we're gonna be pulling an all-nighter tonight trying to get this thing done. But we got the holes cut in the end of the end tanks, and just went ahead, got the end pipes cut out with a 15-degree angle on them, I believe is what we did. And that way we can angle the top ones down a little bit and angle the bottom ones in a little bit. Just gonna help with routing our pipes and hooking couplers to them. So those are done up, just gotta clean them completely, and then they can get welded to the core, and we'll have a complete intercooler. And then right here, I am working on these pipes, which are gonna be the 290s coming out of the back of the manifold. So kind of like, I can't remember if I showed it, but I made these in the old aluminum as well. That didn't end up working out, but these are essentially gonna get cut, merged together. We're gonna have a Y coming out of the back of the manifold back there, and then those will run to the intercooler underneath the car. So yeah, exactly like this. That's what it's gonna look like in the end. 2 blow-off valves will sit on either side, and then we'll have our speed density bung in the middle. That way it gets proper reading with the 2 airflows coming together. So we got to make this out of this 90. No room for error here. So just gonna take my time and get this done. How you feeling, buddy?
Pretty tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it's a long one.
All right, guys. Well, we are pulling an all-nighter tonight, and yeah, we got to get this car done before I leave tomorrow night, or Sunday morning, I should say. And like I said, I haven't really picked up the camera, just been grinding on this thing. So I'll show you guys where we're at now. We're kind of taking a little break. You know, getting tired, and we don't want Silas's welds to show how tired we are. So, yeah. So, wastegate and exhaust are done on the passenger side. Working on intercooler piping. We got the intercooler piping finally, as you guys saw. And I probably should have ordered some more, but here's what we got. So we have the Y coming out of the back of the manifold. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the couplers. We may switch that to pie cuts in the end if we have enough. But essentially, they're gonna be symmetric, dropping down, straight down the back on either side. It's gonna run under the frame rails up to the front. And we kind of have it hooked up over here, as you can see. So this one comes straight from the turbo, goes in, goes through the intercooler, back around, and then this is gonna shoot through the car. So we have those already made. They just gotta get tacked up, and we should be good there. Here is the wastegate dump and the exhaust all welded up. So that looks super sick. He's working on getting the exhaust done on the other side now. But other than that, yeah, it is coming together. Like I said, I do want to get rid of those couplers, but we'll see what happens. We only have, yeah, just these 2 straights left, and I still have to make the whole pass under the car and up around the back for the passenger side. So very limited. We're gonna see if we can make it work. And just like that, it is now noon the next day. It is now Saturday, and we still got to get that wastegate done up, but all the intercooler piping is almost done. The 2 from the turbo are good. We're just working on the lower ones now that run to the back of the car. We got this Y pipe all done up. There will be a coupler here, but I don't have that size at the moment. The two blow-off valves are on there, and then essentially it's just gonna 90 straight down, 90 straight down, and run behind the car through there. So right now, to take a break from welding, we have gone ahead and kind of marked where the exhausts are gonna hit on the hood. Silas had an idea to essentially take some masking tape, make it double-sided, and stack it on top of the exhaust tips. And then we close the hood, and then when we pick it back up, it's gonna be stuck exactly where your exhaust tips are sticking. So we're just gonna start cutting the hood support out on either of them, and then we can actually cut through the skin and start working our way through with the exhaust. And then afterwards, we'll do the same thing with the wastegates as well. So, yeah, that is the plan. This is probably the most nerve-wracking part of the entire thing, because you know, you really only got one shot, and hopefully it works out. Hopefully it doesn't peel the wrap, all the crap. But yeah, we're gonna give this a go and see how it works. Supercharger. Hellcat. Can't see what I'm doing. Oh, dude, talk about precision. See, that followed a straight line like butter. I know what you guys are gonna say, okay? You'll be like, Brandon, wear safety glasses. Guys, okay? I got these things called safety squints. It's called like, give it a little squint, and you're good. The only glasses we have in here is a welding helmet, and I'd be cutting over here if I was wearing that. So, safety squints work just fine, okay? Yeah, maybe I'll invest in some safety glasses sometimes, but I haven't worn them my whole life, been fine. Probability, it's fine. No, I don't need them. No, we're good. I only got a little bit left. Safety squint. Safety squint. How was I doing this? Something like that? And now it's quite a few hours later. I just went ahead, got the hood all masked off. Pretty much done with the intercooler piping as well. Have a few little things to do. One Silas is done welding stainless. We can get to welding aluminum again. But I want to go ahead and get this passenger side cut out, at least for the exhaust. We'll do the wastegate once we get the dumps made. But yeah, we're pretty much ready. I am kind of terrified, but you saw me cut the bottom. We kind of have an idea where we got to go, so I'm just going to drill a pilot hole from the bottom, and then we'll take a hole saw up top, 3-inch, which is the size of the exhaust tip, and we'll just drill down, and then we can take a Dremel and fine-tune everything. But Silas is over here finishing up the last wastegate dump. Looks sick. So once that's done, we can get that slapped on the driver's side, and then essentially just finish up all of our stainless welding. We just got to get the teardrops for the wastegates on and get those holes cut as well. So let's get you guys on the tripod and we'll start cutting this hood up. That was easy. Well, here's that aftermath. We are dead center on top of the pipe, so we just got to come up, obviously, until we're about 1/2 inch above the hood line, and then we'll be good. We're gonna open up the teardrop kind of in this area. That way the whole exhaust tip can come through, and then the wastegate will sit right in here somewhere. So our bezel is gonna have to have a little bit of a bend to it. So I'll have to let John at JDC know that. And then when they make the titanium, it can already come pre-bent, and we should be good there. So now Silas just finished up that last wastegate dump, so we can do this side as well. And then yeah, let's get all 4 holes drilled, and then we'll figure out where we're going from there. All right, it is now almost 1 in the morning on Sunday, and we've been working on this probably 45 of the last 48 hours. And the goal was to get it done by midnight tonight, but we were really close. However, with, you know, time constraints, we had quite a few intercooler pipes that weren't welded, and also one of our wastegate tubes kind of warped from heat and twisted a little bit out of whack that needs adjustment. So I have to be back to work on Monday morning, so I have to leave Pennsylvania literally at probably 7 in the morning to head back down to North Carolina. And then what I'm gonna do, Silas is gracious enough to let me leave the car here. He's gonna fix up everything that needs fixed. We still got little things to do, like weld the bungs for the AFRs on each exhaust. We got a few more intercooler things to weld up, and yeah, just fix a few little things. But other than that, this thing came together, and yeah, let me show you guys where we're at. So here it is. Obviously, things freaking beautiful. This side we have pretty much perfect as far as where we have our exhaust tips perfectly level, exactly where we want them coming out of the hood. This side though, we were kind of rushing to get this done on our timeline, and you can see that back wastegate dump just when we were welding that pie cut 90 in the back. It definitely, the heat got the best of it, kind of took it to the side, which isn't a very big deal. We can kind of cut here and be able to fix that. But yeah, due to time constraints, I gotta get out of here. And if you look back here, that pi 90 isn't done, and we didn't actually finish the end of these 2 pipes, but everything else is pretty much complete. We got some stuff done this past 2 weeks. Yeah, that's a crazy looking car. So if you guys are just kind of picking up on this video, I had this vision in mind for a long time, but I don't know, what was it, about a month ago now? I put on Facebook like a drawing of what I wanted this car to look like, and Silas hit me up, and he's like, you know, if you need help with the fabrication side of things, I'm down to help you out. And talked to him on the phone for a little while. He definitely sounded like he knew what he was doing. So I came up here and knocked it out of the park. Like, this is incredible, dude. Look at that thing. So yeah, Silas he's been welding for a little over a year now, and he was 100% honest. His integrity was top notch when he was talking to me, and that's what I appreciate the most. So gave him the chance. You know, I could have went to any full-blown fab shop. I put this on Instagram the other day, but I wanted to, you know, try to help him out, put his business and fabrication skills kind of out there, and you know, hopefully he can pick up some business off of this. But yeah, this is crazy. This is actually sick. So yeah, thank you, dude. I really appreciate it. This car means quite a bit to me, and yeah,
it was an honor to help you out with this thing. I love one-off builds like this that mean something or special to someone. So yeah, this next week I'll get this thing dialed, and then you can come pick it up and get her finished out and ready for the tune.
Hell yeah. So the goal is to get this car to Boxer Fest, which I believe is August 18th. So we have a little over a month. Shouldn't be an issue. I'll come up here next week, pick this thing up, take it back to the house, I got to dial in a few little things like AOS, oil feed, oil drains, just whatever little things we got to do, make modifications to handle the twin turbo kit, and then talk to Josh Bader and we'll get the base map on this car, take it to Boxerfest, and then I think we're heading to Circuit Demon to slap it on the hub dyno. So I'm super excited. I just want to hear this thing start, and to be quite honest, I don't think we're very far from it. But that's pretty much all we got for you in this video. If I had one thing to say, it's thank you to Silas. Once again, absolutely insane. If you guys don't follow him already, go follow him on Instagram at PotterhouseFab. And if you got anything that needs fabricated, feel free to hit him up. He knows what he's doing. But like I said, that's all I got. I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, peace out. See y'all later.